Here's a sports flash from...
We love you, Matt, there on WEMB Irwin. But I tell you what, just hold off on that second sports update. You know, he gave us the Indianapolis 500 winner, the Frenchman, you know, Martin Truex Jr. and all that good stuff. Hey, it's Marky Billson, your voice of choice for a new generation of Tri-City sports fans. The name of the program is Tri-City Sports Now, and we own the Tri-Cities on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. And we do it with the best guests. He'll be talking about the races and upcoming, you know, Pocono, that sort of thing, which not this year, but next year will be a doubleheader, of course. So we'll be talking about that at 1. And at 1:30, our old friend SoCon John Hooper joins me. Not tremendous amount of SoCon news this week, but a look ahead, really. Who's the commissioner going to be? What about Wofford? Which SoCon Wofford? They're the first team in more than 60 years when West Virginia would do this that won the conference. What do you think about that? So we'll have those conversations coming up. And then at 1:45, I will be talking to Alex Doherty of A to Z Sports Nashville. He's their Predators writer. Who better to talk about the Stanley Cup? Yeah, it's underway today. I'm looking forward to it. St. Louis and Boston. The Predators fans root against St. Louis. Are they willing? A state that has never won a pro sports title, Vols, or somebody like that. You know, I mean, yeah. The Elizabethan Twins, who put in a slanted Appalachian League, the championship year after year after. Yes, okay, but that's not major sports championships. You know, I mean, hey, who won the Appalachian League championship? Will tell you they don't care. World Series is different, you know, product. That sort of. Stanley Cup's a different product. Super Bowl, NBA title, a different product. No Major League Baseball team in Tennessee. And I realize the advent of major professional sports in Tennessee is basically only a generation-old proposition. You've got a circumstance where about, 40, 50 seasons, when you combine the Grizzlies, Preds, and Titans. You can tell me about being 1 yard short, or, well, there really isn't because it was in 6 games, you know. I mean, the one that got away, I mean, I really thought Sidney Crosby giving it to P.K. Subban beyond the net in Game 5. That, you know, after that, you knew that was the turning point right there. That Stanley Cup Series. Grizzlies just stink, and nobody around here cares. The case is, the finals between Boston and St. Louis begin. Who's going to win? I'm going to give you my pick here in just a sec. 8 p.m., 5 of the games are on NBC. Game 2, which will be on Wednesday, and then on Saturday, Game 3 will be played on NBCSN. I'm not a big fan of that, but that's what... Still, though, I mean, I can remember when the Stanley Cup, you know, I mean, it was on, like, local TV. I mean, if there was better foresight way back when, in the Peter Puck era, when Stanley Cup finals were getting ratings of, like, 21... with the Montreal Canadiens, not even a team in the United States winning this cup, well, there would be a different... But here's the deal, and I'll say this a lot. I'm really, really, really hoping that the Toronto Maple Leafs, hopefully on the day of the last game of the NBA Finals, make some sort of small, minor trade, you know, dealing... fourth-line wingers or, you know, backup goalies or something like that. And you know why I want them to make that deal? So that the NBA Finals and the Globe and Mail will be on the bottom of the fold of the sports section. And yes, you know, Maple Leafs trade backup goalie is the headline. You know, Raptors win title is somewhere beneath. I mean, that's what I want to say. That's the way it should be, in my opinion. Anyway, so today... Boston and St. Louis, they begin the Stanley Cup Finals on Memorial Day matchup. It's a matchup of 2 hot goalies. Tuukka Rask and Jordan Binnington Rask for the Bruins, Binnington for the Blues, Rask has just been unbelievable. People think that he's going to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. If you're new to hockey, that's the playoff MVP. Why, he's got a .942 save percentage. .942. It's not bad. But Binnington has been a force in the Blues' resurgence to the Cup. I mean, I want you to understand, he was called up from the AHL December 8th of this year. At that time, the Blues had 24 points. It was the second worst total in the NHL. Since that, 14-5. That was in the regular season. They've gone to the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first, or finals, Stanley Cup finals for the first time in 49 years. Blues generally have always made the playoffs. They just haven't gone, to the finals in 49 years. It's one of the reasons why you don't necessarily think of the Blues as this long-suffering franchise, because they generally do win. It's just they haven't taken, they haven't drunk from the cup yet. That's the deal. And they nearly did the Blues after coming from the second worst record, penultimately worst. That's not the right grammar, but no. They had 24 points on December the 8th when Binnington was called up. Worst team in the league had 23 at the time. Since that time, they came a point away from winning the Central Division. Predators won it with 100 points. Blues had 99. And then, no matter, go straight through to the Cup. At least the finals. So, Bruins come in the injury list. And I mean, it's big. One notable exception, though, that will not play forearm injury, blocked a shot in Game 3. And that's big, because the Bruins are a very physical team. Boston Bruins are still somewhat, every team has a signature. This sort of thing. I mean, you think about it and look. Purdue's always going to want to have a star quarterback, right? I mean, who doesn't want to? But, the idea of, say, Purdue being a grounded out offense, or Miami. Session back in the 80s, but, they've had a couple of Heisman winners, the Miami quarterback. That's still, it's been a while, but it's really Bernie Kosar, Jim. There's something to it. The Vols wide receiver. They love to, say that in Tennessee and all that. Ohio State's had good wide receivers in the back. The Penn State linebacker. You'd have to have, they're going to defend the run well at Penn State. The Southern California tailback. There are certain styles that teams generally try to employ. Take a look at that. Although I would suggest also, say, somebody like Oklahoma, would have to come out of being their former quarterbacks, run the ball with the wishbone. There were games they didn't even throw a pass. And that was in an era where that was unheard of. But they would do it. But that's changed. So, it's not necessarily all the time. But you think Bruins, you think, Don Cherry, Rock'em Sock'em back in the 70s. You think of Boston Garden, that was 180 feet long when a hockey rink in the NHL is supposed to be 200. Should be 220 like the Olympics, but nevertheless. Anyway, that's what you think of. So the Bruins are second in the NHL this year in penalty minutes. Blues are 24th. One problem. Know how to lure you into their physical game, and they actually had opponents take more penalty minutes than they committed, even though they had the second highest penalty minute total in the league. St. Louis effectively, in my opinion, defeated San Jose, going to Erik Karlsson to win Game 3. But the Blues didn't sulk. They didn't whine like New Orleans. They didn't give up the tying score and not score in overtime. Or for that matter, speaking St. Louis, if you're old enough to remember, or if you know the history, 1985 World Series, Don Denkinger's blown call on the George Orta ground ball, and then the Cardinals fall apart. And all it is the leadoff runner is on in the ninth inning. You ought to be able to handle that. No. Cardinals haven't lost a lead in the ninth all year long. Well, this time, with a chance to win the World Series, they choke, they lose the next day 11-0. Totally collapsed. And they all blamed it on a bad call. That's just ridiculous. Blues didn't do that. Blues just went to the Stanley Cup Finals first time in 49 years. Blues won the Game 4 to tie the series up by 1 goal. Then they won the series against San Jose by scores of 5-0 and 5-1. Blues did it like you should. Now, don't discount that loss to Chris Wagner or the Blues, but against the Blues. But it is really hard, even without Wagner, to pick against the Bruins. Better record, scored more goals, allowed fewer, better power play. They have the star power, Brad Marchand. He's the only 100-point scorer in the playoffs. And he has been for the last 2 rounds. From Jaden Schwartz, he's got 12 goals. He scored 11 on the regular season. How much longer can that continue? Blues could win this because Wagner isn't in there. But even with Schwartz on a roll, is St. Louis really the kind of free-flowing team that, say, the Pittsburgh Penguins are, the Tampa Bay Lightning are? No. So it's going to be tougher for him to take advantage of Wagner's absence. And that's the storyline, in my opinion, of the series. Not just the 2 goalies. The 2 goalies could stop everything. This could go 7 and the game winner in OT, just like Orr did 49 years ago. But the Bruins are the best team. It's hard not to pick them to win the Cup and bring Boston their 3rd title in 8 months.